Welcome to Yoga and Meditation with Alisa. And today we are going to do a deep dive, exploration, and demonstration of the Yin Yoga archetypal pose called the Dragonfly. So go get your props, your bolster, block, folded blanket, and meet me back on the mat. Welcome to Yoga with Alisa, and today we're going to do a deep dive on the Yin Yoga archetype called Dragonfly. And Dragonfly is a posture set that focuses on the inner thigh, the groin, and it is really only focused on one muscle group, one myofacial group, which is the inner thigh and groin. So the simplest way to do that is in a basic straddle or a wide leg sitting position. So I'm going to need to move these. To do that, again, I have referenced this in other series, and any forward bending series deep dive that I've done, is that I typically, for my body, when I do a forward bend, I fold a blanket and I put it under my buttocks, and that way I can fold forward without fighting the tilting of my pelvis into the fetal position. That works for my body. You may be able to move forward very easily and differently. Your skeletal system is going to be different than mine, but there are many of us that have difficulty with forward bends, and it's part of the pelvis. And so try it and see if a folded blanket helps out for you. But now I have my legs wide in the Dragonfly, in the straddle, right? So just being in this posture for most people is going to be like, wow, I feel it. I don't have to move at all. And in fact, this is really uncomfortable. So of course, you have the capacity to decide how wide your legs are going to be. The target area is the groin, the inner thigh. So as long as when you're doing the posture, you feel it there, it's perfectly appropriate to do it however wide your legs are. You don't have to try to do the splits. So we come forward. The best way to come forward on this pose is to lift up. Again, this is because you want to access. It's not about form. It's about accessing the target area of the inner thigh. So I need to lift up a bit and then come forward and try to bring the chest forward just so that I can access the inner thigh. I feel the inner thigh pretty good right now. So if I now decide to round from this place, that is totally legitimate and perfectly fine. Now, once I start rounding, of course, I'm going to get that stretch in the lumbar spine we've talked about in other forward bend deep dives, but the biggest stretch I'm feeling right now is in the hamstring. You can use props if you can't go down as far and it's not comfortable. There's no reason to ever be a hero or a weekend warrior when it comes to your yin yoga posture. So you want to be in a modest stretch. There are some skeletal systems that can very easily fold forward, and they don't feel it that much in their inner thigh. One way to do that is to put a block under your leg. When you put that block under your leg, you would do it on both. This is a symmetrical pose. Then you're actually extending the floor up, lifting the leg, and it'll be a deeper stretch for the hamstring. And for those who are quite flexible, they may find this posture to be more to their preference. Another variation to get to the inner thigh would be the butterfly posture. And in this position, again, I'm sitting on that blanket. You want to bring your legs in closer to your pelvis. This is as close as I can go. And just being this way again, I can feel it already in my pelvis, in my inner thigh, my groin. And then again, you fold forward. If you want, you can bring a bolster, and that lets you fold more. You could have your legs out a little bit more if you want, but once I do that, for me, I lose it in my groin. I don't feel it at all in my groin, period. It's just more of a back stretch, which might be good. Many people feel that way with the butterfly variation of this archetype. So there's another way to get into the groin called the frog. But on the way there, you can try another posture, which is wide-legged baby or child's pose, or we call this antler, where you have your feet together and your knees apart. And if you were to come down into a child's kind of pose in the antler position, you might begin to feel this in your inner thigh. That's not quite enough for me, so I'm going to go into the actual frog posture. I start by getting on all fours, and then I let my knees slide out as wide as makes sense for me. Now, I'm going to feel it in my groin. The intensity of it has to do with how far back I push my hips back or forward, and how wide my knees are. And by doing that, I can find a very manageable stretch in my groin because I'm in charge of the dial of how deep it is. I'll show it to the side. Whether your feet are together or apart doesn't matter. What feels comfortable for you? Again, you want a cushion under you so that your knees are being spared. But that's the frog. So, what were we looking at? We were looking at the archetype of the dragonfly, and the dragonfly target area is the inner thigh or groin. We did that by the dragonfly, which is the straddle. We also did the wide leg baby pose. We did the frog pose, and we did the fold over onto the butterfly pose. Which one works for you? I have no idea. You're going to have to experiment and find that out and enjoy doing it. But the next time that you're in a yin yoga class and you hear somebody, the teacher, preferably, telling you that we're going to be doing butterfly or groin stretch or frog, dragonfly, then you know you've got a library of poses that you can choose from. These variations will support you stretching through the target area of the groin or inner thigh. Every body is different, so allow yourself time to explore these postures and these variations. Thank you so much for joining. Namaste.